Alright, everyone. Assassin's Creed is a franchise I have a complicated relationship with, alright? I really like it. I want to say that I really like it. I have played every Assassin's Creed game almost since the first one. When AC1 came out for the PS3, I went over to my uncle's house. He had just bought it. It was a brand new game. He was always buying brand new games and playing them. And, he was the only person I knew with a modern console, because the PS3 was a modern console at the time. And so it was cool to go to his house and play new games on a modern console. It was really a fun experience, because at home all I had was a PS2, the graphics update. Like playing on a PS3 when you're used to a PS2 and you have to go back home to a PS2, completely different feeling, right? And so Assassin's Creed 1 is one of the games that I played, and it was so different from anything I'd ever played before. The climbing aspect of it was just so game-changing for me. And of course, my love for that carried over to my love for the Infamous series, which I'll admit I love more than Assassin's Creed. Though I do think Assassin's Creed has always done parkour better than Infamous. Infamous parkour has always felt weirdly weird. I don't know. It's good. It works, but it's, weird, if that makes sense. It's not very smooth. The animations don't look like parkour in real life. Anyway, though, outside of that, though, I really love the Infamous games, and Assassin's Creed is a close second place for me. The series has gone in some directions I'm not a big fan of as of late, just in terms of design philosophy, and I haven't played the more modern Assassin's Creed games. The last one I played was Odyssey, and then I played a bit of Valhalla, but then I got, to this weird portion where I'm in, Asgard or something, and I got bored, and I never played it again. Eventually, I do plan to go back and play through all of the Assassin's Creed games, maybe on stream. I think that would go pretty hard. Would you guys watch me stream all the Assassin's Creed games and, live review them as I'm playing through them? That could be interesting. Regardless, though, my favorite one is AC4. Not an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But recently, yesterday, Ubisoft announced a new Assassin's Creed game, and for the first time, I'm actually pretty excited for it. We're finally getting an Assassin's Creed game in a Far Eastern setting. People have been asking for an Assassin's Creed in either China or Japan. Primarily Japan has been the most desired request for a decade plus, and we're finally getting it. And it's not that shitty platformer we got 9 years ago now. It's a real Assassin's Creed game. And not only that, but I literally remember, 2 years ago, when I learned of the historical figure Yasuke, I think it's Yasuke is how it's pronounced, who is an African slave sold off to, a Japanese lord, I think it was Nobunaga, sold off to him and became his, retainer, which is basically a bodyguard, samurai, right? You'd be, effectively not technically a samurai, but what we think of as a samurai in the same way we think of Vikings, right? We've kind of turned that whole fighting force for a feudal lord in ancient Japan into the mindset of what is a samurai, right? And so you see the statue of Yasuke in a museum. He's wearing samurai looking armor, he's got katanas, he looks like a badass, he was tall as fuck, he could apparently shoot an arrow out of a longbow bigger than anyone else could shoot, way further than anyone else could shoot, so he could just imagine somebody just absolutely destroys you, beams you in rust with the bow. That was him. The guy who, arced an arrow across the map in Rust and hit you from a ridiculous distance with a headshot, that was Yasuke. He could do that in real life. So yeah, he was super cool, very interesting. We don't know a lot about him, which means he's actually a really cool character for fictional media. There's been an anime about him. He has been featured in video games. Japanese media has featured him as a famous samurai for a very long time. He's actually a very beloved figure in Japan. And yeah, really cool figure, and one that has what we know was true about him is so cool with so little known about him outside of that, that you can do anything with him. His story and what went on with his life can be whatever you want it to be, as long as the core of what we know about him is true in your story. He is a very cool historical figure to work with for a fictional piece of media, which is why he is the perfect fucking character for an Assassin's Creed game. He is someone who existed, who confirmed did cool shit and was important, but we don't know anything else. So he could have been involved in or done any number of other cool shit, and it would kinda be not real-life lore breaking in your setting, right? If that's what you're going for, is like a historical fiction type thing. And that is what Assassin's Creed is. Now, here's the thing, though. This is a video game. And there is an entire industry right now centered around getting upset and monetizing meltdowns over minorities in video games. A good example, but not the only, of course, being Geeks and Gamers, whose first video about this looks like this. You've got Samuel Jackson photoshopped in there. He does this a lot, by the way. A lot of these YouTubers, like, if there is a black character in something, they will Photoshop another black person's face onto that black character, which is, like, definitely not racist, right, guys? Definitely not, right? They love doing that. They did it a lot with Rings of Power. I remember, like, they did it a lot with Rings of Power. It's one of their favorite things to do is, like, Photoshop the faces of people in a piece of media they're upset about. It's really all about just, like, playground insults equivalent humor, right? Like, there's no real arguments being made here. I do love how they flipped the Family Guy joke, though. Like, the joke from Family Guy is that, like, our border security and TSA and stuff are super racist, and cops are racist. And they literally, like, so much so that they might as well have a little cardboard plaque they pull out with skin shades that are, like, okay and not okay. And in the original, these are the okay, and these are the not okay. He flipped the original meme, which is a commentary on racism, around in order to make it apply to the idea that simply portraying a black man who existed in a video game must mean you hate white people. Anyway, Geeks and Gamers is also the guy who has made, and I shit you not, hundreds of videos about Brie Larson. It actually gets really funny whenever you search it. YouTube's gotten really crappy now, so when you search for a thing, it starts recommending stuff that's completely unrelated, so it's harder to search now. But I'll still try to... Actually, no, we can go to his videos and then just search Brie Larson and scroll. Are you guys ready to see something crazy? Brie Larson. Oh, is it spelled Larson? Yeah, it's Larson, my bad. I spelled her name wrong. Are you guys ready? Hold on, I'm gonna unlock my fucking... I'm gonna unlock my mouse wheel so I can do this. Oh, keep it spinning. I guess we finally got past the Brie Larson stuff, I think. Has he taken videos down? Because he's definitely made more than this. He's definitely made more than just this many Brie Larson videos. Hold on. Yeah, a lot of the videos... Oh, That's why. Because he doesn't call... It's Captain Marvel. What happened? What happened? I was typing, chat. You saw it, right? You saw I was typing, and it like, went away. Hold on. I hate when websites do that. Now let's see how many he's made about Captain Marvel. There we go. Oh, we're still going. Brie Larson unfollows Gal Gadot. YouTube sucks now, so a bunch of random unrelated videos. Oh, you know what it is? He's put Brie Larson in the tags for these. That's why a bunch of unrelated videos come up. Yeah, here's more. I remember at one point, I think he's taken some down. He had hundreds of videos about Brie Larson at one point. There are less videos now than there were before. There definitely are. Something's up here, because there used to be more than just this. I know that for a fact. I know there used to be more. Hold up. I'm unlocking the mouse, or relocking the mouse so I can slowly scroll. This is obviously a lot of video. Maybe I just scrolled really fast with the unlocked mouse feature. Yeah, I guess it just scrolls a lot faster than you'd think. Yeah, seems about right. Yep, nope, it's still going. And these are just the Captain Marvel ones, not the Brie Larson ones. A bunch more about about Brie Larson specifically, not just Captain Marvel. A lot of them use this image, but flipped, because lazy. More of this image of her. More of this image of her. More of this image of her. More of that image. Another one from that, another one. Another one. Another one. No, that's not one. Another one. Yeah. No, it's actually just the most shameless grift ever. It really, really is. It's truly, truly pathetic. The guy's titles and thumbnails, like, I don't know how this guy attracts anyone but, like, the most racist audience at this point. There are a lot of mouth breathers, though, that come into my, like, comments and shit talk me when I cover this guy, who seem to genuinely believe that, like, this guy's not racist. Also, guys, trust me, the hate for Rings of Power is 100% genuine. People genuinely have problems with Season 2 of Rings of Power. That's why they mass disliked it. You know, the season of the show they haven't seen yet. It's really funny to me how these guys manufacture, like, a show not being successful. Like, for those that don't know, Rings of Power, I believe, is the biggest Prime show. Like its premiere has been the most viewed Prime streaming show ever, besides maybe The Boys. The Boys might have beat it, but possibly not. And, like, I even have people who are on the left in my chat say stuff like, wait, there's gonna be a season 2 of Rings of Power? And it's like, yeah, it was good. It was very successful. The only place where it wasn't successful was on the internet, which is dominated by conservatives who are mad when the first thing that was revealed about it was that one of the characters would be black. That was one of the first things that came out about it. And when that happened, its future was set in stone. The way the internet would react to it was set in stone. But yeah. He made this video freaking out about Yasuke. Does he even know that Yasuke was real? I wonder if he actually knows. Do you think he'll acknowledge it, or do you think he'll, like, pretend Yasuke is a made-up character? I'm really curious. I don't feel like this guy would know much about, like, anything.
Welcome to the internet. I'll be your guide, and today we are talking about a massive controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed.
Delancer, I don't take your opinion on the show seriously when you can't even say the show's name properly.
Shadows. The new trailer, the official world premiere trailer, dropped 9 hours ago, and as you see right there, the massive dislikes. Not quite ratioed yet. We can do a quick little refresh and see if there's any update to that yet. So
his entire argument is going to hinge on the idea that because a bunch of racists are mad that there was a black person in the trailer, that means they're right. There being a lot of dislikes, meaning a lot of racists disliked it, means that they are correct. A lot of their arguments are just appeal. They don't even make an argument. It's just more so an implied argument of an appeal to popularity for their opinions.
Well, there you go. 169 to 177. This trailer will more than likely be ratioed before it's all said and done because the backlash has been massive. Now,
what are these people, fucking Keffels fans? Is this guy a Keffels fan? Are these people... Are the conservatives not the people who are saying ratios don't matter whenever they get ratioed? Why the fuck are they like, ratio? We don't like black people. More dislikes than likes. Black people owned a ratio. Is this like really the epic own they think it is? Bro sounds like Rigby.
We're going to go through a lot of different points. This is a great video right here, and I'm going to link you to his Twitter account because he does a great job of breaking this all down, better than I could do. So let's listen in. We're going to discuss.
I'm sure it's simply because he breaks it down better than you can. It's the only reason why to complain about this. You brought this individual's video up. I'm sure.
And then we have a lot more to talk about.
So we got our first look at the new Assassin's Creed game, and I gotta say, man, I'm not impressed. I'm actually just really annoyed right now. We have two main protagonists, one female, one male, just like Odyssey. We're gonna be using Neo, I hope I said that right, a female Japanese character. And for the male character, they're gonna be using Yasuke. Now, I'm annoyed because they're using Yasuke, and I'm gonna tell you why. Yasuke is what they want to say is the first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai. He was a retainer, so he wasn't even...
Okay, when people talk about samurais, they're generally talking about the people who wore the cool fucking armor and had katanas and fought for a lord. He was the personal, like, assistant and bodyguard of Oba Nobunaga, who, like, pretty much united, like, what, half of Japan? Half of, like, that of Japan in that era or something? He was, like, very big deal historically for Japan. And on top of that, like, did you guys know that, I forget exactly what the Japanese word is for the role that he filled, but retainer's not exactly the right word for it. The role they filled was bodyguard, personal servant, sexual partner. That's right, there's a good chance that Yasuke and Oba Nobunaga fucked. There's a good chance they fucked. It was not unheard of for male samurai to fuck their to have gay sex with their lord. That is not, it was not unheard of. There's a chance it happened. Not gay, but bi, possibly, because they also had wives and many sons, so probably bi. I have a feeling that bisexuality is probably, like, more common than being straight. I'd say being gay and being straight are, like, minorities on one side of, like, the spectrum of sexuality of all of society, and bisexuality or pansexuality or whatever is generally the center. I think everybody, for the most part, almost everybody, is a little bit, like, on that spectrum of bisexuality, and you've got people who are just, like, outright hard gay, like they could never have a straight sexual encounter. It would make them vomit. And then you've got people who are hard straight, like they could never have a gay sexual encounter. It would make them vomit. Not because they're homophobic or straight phobic, but because it wouldn't be pleasant for them, right? Because they're not attracted to that. But I think most people, especially when you look back at old societies with different cultural standards for what is okay sexually, the fact that, like, ancient Egyptian culture, the fact that ancient Roman culture, ancient Greek culture practiced so much casual gay sex tells you something about how humans were before every bit of everything told you being gay is weird and different and you don't want to be gay from the get-go, right? Like, there's a good chance that way more people would be that if they could, right? Anyway, yeah, not just like, retainer is a really disingenuous way to refer to it. Essentially, Yasuke filled a role that could have done anything. He was one of the right-hand guys of his lord. That is what that job serves, down to the point of, like, if his lord wanted some anal, Yasuke was gonna have to put out, okay? Because yes, it was slavery as well.
Even a full-blown samurai. And for all of the characters they could have used for Japan, all these kind of different people they could have picked from, they picked Yasuke. Why do they pick Yasuke?
They also picked a Japanese woman from a village up in the mountains that gets raided by an imperial lord. There are two characters, and one of them is Japanese. Are we, like, I guess she doesn't count because she's a woman. He did mention before a female character and a male character, and the male character is black. So because the Japanese character is female, it doesn't count. It's still woke. Yeah. You'll notice, by the way, that lately the right has heavily tried to incorporate, like, weeb and Japanese culture into their into their rhetoric. Like, they want to try and claim weebs and anime shit into their side of the culture war, mostly because of hentai and, like, gooners mostly being, like, very much, like, wanting... They want to see women only be sexualized, and Japanese media, particularly anime, has a pretty big problem broadly with its sexualization of women and presentation of women. Like, you have to find anime that don't have that. It's easier to find... It would be easier for me to list anime that aren't weird about women, particularly underaged women, than it is to, like, list the ones that have problems with it. Like, it's more of a given that they'll have weird shit in them, and you have to find the ones that don't. That is how much of a problem it is in even modern anime.
Because he's black.
And we're going to listen to the rest of this, but that's the point here, okay? This is virtue signaling, this is ESG, this is DEI, this is identity politics, and why could...
Well, it's SJW, DEI, CRT, like, why is it, like, how many fucking triple-letter acronyms can you come up with that just mean the N-word? Just say the N-word, man. It's YouTube. They're fine with it. One of the biggest YouTube channels on this fucking website that is a trans YouTuber, one of the most influential YouTubers that is trans right now, is called The Offensive T-Slur. And the name doesn't say T-Slur. The name says The Slur. I'm pretty sure you're just allowed to say the N-word on YouTube now. I'm pretty certain that's just allowed now. So why doesn't he just say it? That's what they mean. Remember that one tweet where it was like the DEI mayor of Baltimore talks about, like, the recent disaster? The mayor was elected. DEI is supposedly a program in which, like, black people are just put into power or put into a position for virtue signal points. What they mean by DEI is black. They mean the N-word. It's just like a dog whistle for a slur. Zan, don't say that. You're gonna do a Vosh. Well, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not racist. I've never said the N-word before in my entire life. I've actually never said a slur ever before. Never. Not once has a slur passed my lips. You can't prove it. That means it's not true. I've never said a slur before. You can't cancel me. I'm more pure than all of you.
Couldn't they just have a Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Africa? Why not? You know why? Because you have fucking retarded people like...
Wait, what? What? Okay, where are we going with this? Holy shit. Okay, the retardation. We're reaching retardation levels beyond computing. Hold on.
Have a Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Africa. Why?
They did, you retard! You fucking retard! You stupid, brain-dead, brainworm retard! Have worms eaten your brain? Did you eat raw pork? You dumb fuck! They had an Assassin's Creed game in fucking Egypt! The main character's name was Bayek of Siwa, and he was black. Yes! They had an African Assassin's Creed game, and now we're having an Assassin's Creed game in which you play as a Japanese shinobi, and also a famous historical figure, Yasuke, who's like the most Assassin's Creedable character of all time. If you have a setting in Assassin's Creed, and there is a character that is important in that setting, and they don't show up, people will be angry. If there is a Revolutionary War Assassin's Creed game, people expect to see George Washington, which you do. You also get to see many of the founding fathers, even the signing of the, what was it called? You get to see the signing of the, what does Connor end up witnessing? I forget what it's called. The Continental Congress meeting, the first meeting of the Continental Congress, not the Declaration of Independence. You're there to witness not the signing, but the first meeting of the Continental Congress. Like, you're there to witness their first meeting in Assassin's Creed 3. In Assassin's Creed... Hell, for the record, in Assassin's Creed 4, you're playing as a blonde Welshman in the Caribbean who is a pirate. So, like, not every Assassin's Creed game involves you playing as a native member of that, like, location. Hell, Assassin's Creed Revelations was you playing as a white Italian guy in Constantinople, which, if I remember correctly, is in fucking Turkey? I have seen the Magna Carta. Yeah, no. Where is it in the rule? It was the Constitution? It was? Okay, my bad. Listen, it's been a while since I played AC3, okay? Origins. Odyssey is literally, you're not from here. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you're a Spartan. And you are in, like, Athens and you're traveling all around these Mediterranean, like, countries. Like Athens, Sparta, and whatnot. Like, Istanbul is Constantinople? Okay, sorry, it was Istanbul. Thank you. The song. The song. I should have remembered the song. How did I forget the They Might Be Giants song?
Why not? You know why? Because you have fucking retarded people like Jacksepticeye who say something like
Really?
this.
Really? Okay, so for one, Memology 101 is a neo-Nazi. If you want to know why he's a neo-Nazi, I've got videos going back like to 2019 about that, in which Memology got so mad about them, he sent a harassment campaign after me, and I've never seen more slurs in my comment section than when Memology 101's fans went after me. However, they did have an amazing response. Did you guys know Memology 101 can't be racist or a white supremacist or a Nazi because he's Hispanic? For those of you guys unaware, it's actually completely unheard of for a Hispanic person to be racist. It's never happened before. It's actually famously uncommon, Famously uncommon. Anyway, is this guy actually going to call Jacksepticeye a retard? I'm just happy to say that Jacksepticeye is currently sitting at and has maintained and will maintain levels of success this guy will never reach. By the way, this guy gets Geeks and Gamers gets less views on his videos than I do. My viewership on my channel is better than his. He just uploads more frequently than I do, and he has way more subs than I do. His channel is on its way out, especially in comparison to mine. It's funny seeing like a massive right-wing channel pulling worse views than me. It's like, oh man, you're out of here, dude. You're not gonna be even worth talking about in a year. I know how YouTube works.
You know why? Because you have fucking retarded people like Jacksepticeye who say something like this about Resident Evil 5.
I don't think they're ever going to remake Resi 5 because of the obvious racial conflict that's happening in that game, and I think it would be completely stupid. That game has not aged well in terms of who you're fighting. So they would have to just fundamentally change what the game is about.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy at the time that game came out. Aren't you basically just slaughtering zombified? No, they're not even zombies. It's okay. So my understanding is you're in Africa and a disease has broken out. Not exactly unheard of in sub-Saharan Africa. There's a parasitic disease that has had an outbreak in sub-Saharan Africa, like Somalia. Thank you. I haven't played Resident Evil 5. I know what I know from the Dan Bull rap recap of the Resident Evil game franchise. That's all I know. They've been mind controlled by a parasite, and it's called like Plaga. Is it Plaga or is that AC? Not AC. Resident Evil 4. Las Plagas. It's Las Plagas. Yeah, they've been infected by a parasite. They're literally just sick Africans with a parasite controlling them, and you're just slaughtering them by a lot, right? Now, you might say, how is this different from any other Resident Evil game? Well, every other Resident Evil game doesn't really pull from anything real, right? Like, in Resident Evil 1, you're in a mansion. It's somewhere in America. It's Ouroboros. I thought Ouroboros is RE4. RE5 is Las Plagas, I think. No, other way around. Ouroboros is RE5. Las Plagas is RE4, because, yeah, okay. And then, like, yeah, generally speaking, in a Resident Evil game, as far as I know, none of them have been really inspired by anything that real, right? Like, there's never been a disease that broke out in Spain, Spanish flu withholding, that caused people to turn into, like, zombies and go, like, rampant or something like that. Like, there's not, like, currently, in modern day, a massive flu epidemic in Spain that's, like, causing a problem. That where a game comes out where it's like, the people in Spain get sick and the only way to deal with it is to kill them, you know? But Africa is, well, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, has a lot of problems with disease. A shitload of problems with disease. Somalia especially. And the idea that the extremely under-medically supported communities in Africa, if like afflicted by a disease like this, should be slaughtered, and that is what the game like has you doing, it's definitely a pretty fucking yikesy premise. This guy doesn't care. He hates black people. He wouldn't even he would never ever consider anything even close to like, ooh, maybe you wouldn't want to do that. That could, you know, that has some poor connotation. Like, he wouldn't think of anything that way.
Racial conflict and hasn't aged well, according to Jacksepticeye. I like Memology's post here. Has Jacksepticeye ever played Resident Evil 5? He says Resident Evil 5 couldn't be made into a remake today because of the racial conflict happening in the game. Even though there is no racial conflict in the game, you are just trying to stop the virus and killing zombies.
Obviously, both these people are racists. Like, Memology 101 is a full-on Nazi, and this guy's a racist. They know, like, what the argument is that the left is making. They know the argument is, like, hey, in real life, there's a lot of, like, disease outbreaks and stuff in Africa. Like, it's a huge issue, and there's a lot of, like, talks and advocacy for, like, bringing medical aid to sub-Saharan Africa and these communities in, like, very impoverished areas that have very little infrastructure, very little medical support. You know, the kind of communities that Mr. Beast is currently supporting. You know, like you see one of Mr. Beast's, like, we built a bunch of roads in Africa, we built a school in Africa, like that kind of thing. I think, like, yeah, the idea that, like a game depicts just slaughtering those people because they're sick, which they are in real life, it's a little too real, is basically what he was saying, and what a lot of people on the left said. And I think it's a fair argument that at the very least they probably wouldn't want to remake it exactly like that today, since, yeah, that wouldn't be very popular. What these guys kind of hinge on is this argument that the majority of gamers and people in general are of his mindset and are of his viewership's mindset, and that the desire to make games more, like, non-problematic, if you want to call it that, more progressive, more representative, whatever you want to call it, on the devs' part or any journalist or activist or gamer's part is an intrusion on real gaming. Meanwhile, though, these people do not have a significant impact on anything that they hate. Fucking Velma is getting a season 2. That god-awful show that nobody on the left or right likes, but it's fucking Gen X slop, so you know they're watching it. You know, like, your mom's probably watching that shit or something, because it's an adult animated show on, like, a streaming service that everybody has. It's already out, yeah. So Velma will probably get a season 3. Like, none of the not even the worst shit these people rally against end up really failing. Certainly not for the reasons that they rally against it for. Hell, Rings of Power, a show that 99% of the hatred I've seen for it online is based on falsehoods. Like, whether it be conservative, like, racist posting, or just people weirdly lying about the show. I'll admit I have a bit of a bias here because I'm a fan of the show. I really liked it. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I really liked it. I also really like Bear McCreary's music, and he did the music for Rings of Power. He also did the music for God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018, and he did the Walking Dead theme, like the I really like his music, so big fan. But yeah, like it's just these people will make a smokescreen, a mirage of agreement, of consensus that people don't like a thing, because if people don't like a thing, like a piece of media, people online are embarrassed to say they enjoy it. I watched this happen in real time with Rings of Power, actually, and I think they're going to try to do this to the Assassin's Creed game, of course. I wonder why they didn't get Howard Shore, though. Howard Shore is really old, Bazooka Horse. I don't know if he's, like, still... I don't know if he's still composing. I actually don't know. He's really old. But yeah, like, it was really weird seeing how do I put this into words? The right does this thing. These right-wing grifters do this thing with media like this, where it starts off with, we're going to freak out about the virtue signaling culture war aspect of it, right? And that's what they're doing it with Hades 1 and 2 right now. And a lot of it's always based on just falsehoods, right? Like, for example, they completely flipped the Hades 1 and 2 design for Aphrodite. Let me show you. Aphrodite, Hades 1 verse 2. So, if you've seen Aphrodite from Hades, as she's been discussed in the discourse that the right have been complaining about lately, no spoilers here, don't worry, then you'll be likely have seen her like this. This is how you'll have seen her, with this face, which they've claimed is, like, masculine. I don't really think it's masculine. I think it's more, if anything, androgynous, I guess, if you were to isolate it, but whatever. Who cares? The claim, though, is that this is Aphrodite's Hades 2 redesign. Their claim is that this is how she looks in Hades 2, and that this is how she looks in Hades 1. And to be fair, if this was her design exclusively in Hades 1, and this was her exclusive design in Hades 2, maybe there would be at least a fundamentally true foundational point to what they're upset about. Here's the thing, though, guys. This is how she looks in Hades 1. And this is her in the Hades 2 trailer. The people on the right complaining about this have so never played the game, they've mixed up the designs of which game they don't even know which game they're complaining about the design from. They're complaining about a redesign that doesn't exist. They think they redesigned this into this when they really redesigned this into this. And what they're complaining about is this, but they think they're complaining about this, but what they're technically complaining about is this. Because they're such tourists, as they like to call actual gamers and people on the left that don't agree with them. They're such tourists that their whole job is to complain about anything they can call woke, no matter what. They don't play any of this media. And they'll pretend like they are fans of this media or they are aware of this media just so they can pretend to be mad about it. Also, imagine shitting on Jacksepticeye. Good luck, buddy. Good luck getting the broader popular support on that one. Yeah, dude. People, you're totally on the popular side of the culture war when you are calling out Jacksepticeye. Yeah, you guys are totally the winning side, the majority side.
This is why, because of dumbasses like this. This is why decisions like this, because there's people out there that will walk right into the identity politics trap with not even thinking about it. Not a critical thinking brain cell.
It's okay for people to disagree with you. Hot take. I think it's okay. This guy, his whole thing is like melting down and saying the left can't handle when people disagree with them. And yet here he is melting down because there are people who are left wing. This is him melting down, angry that people are left wing.
In his head, I mean, it's just absolutely insane.
So in context, that doesn't matter to me, because in all the Assassin's Creed games, every single character has been of...
That is literally just him melting down over Jacksepticeye, using his free speech to have an opinion. He's just triggered by it. But it's not triggering. He's not triggered if it's a conservative. Only progressives can be triggered. Because triggered is just a word the right came up for, originally, for when somebody who's passionate about something gets in their emotions when arguing with someone who doesn't actually care and is just trolling for a reaction.
Some kind of different race and nationality, so that doesn't matter to me. That's fine. But you have to understand what day and age we're in. You have to understand the kind of social shit that they want to try to get across in these video games now. So instead of using a Japanese man in a game based in Japan, like they did with the other Assassin's Creed games,
what is, you think we're gonna get Assassin's Creed Revelations, Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed Liberation, Assassin's Creed 4 Freedom Cry, Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or any of the other Assassin's Creeds where you don't play as an, like, there are other spin-off games too where you don't play as a native of the setting that you're in. Are where in the rules of Assassin's Creed does it say you have to be a native of the setting that it's in? That's never been a rule of Assassin's Creed. That's literally never been a rule of Assassin's Creed. It's never been.
Here, he was an Arab, obviously. One of my favorites, Connor, in Assassin's Creed 3, he was Native American. That was fine. And the most famous of them all...
This guy's favorite is not Connor. Nope, I refuse to believe it. Everybody shit-talked Connor back in the day. I remember I remember the amount of shit I got in 2012 or 2011 to 2014 for liking Connor and liking Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 was super hyped up. People liked it for 2 weeks, and then it became that Assassin's Creed game everyone shit on for like multiple Assassin's Creeds. And then it wasn't until Assassin's Creed Unity that people finally started to realize, man, Assassin's Creed 3 kind of went hard as fuck, low-key. Like Connor's arc is actually really... So much so, like, you can't even lie about this having been a thing. So much so to the point that there are still videos on YouTube now defending Connor's character, where they go over how Connor's character arc is that he starts out stony, woody, and a little emotionless at the start. And at the end, especially if you do the Homestead quest line, at the end, he's got, like, a completely different personality. He is laughing, joking, smiling, and, like, just a completely different person, very animated and, like, fleshed out, especially when you do all the side quests in the plantation, or not on the plantation, the homestead, because those are his friends and his family. Like, the people on that homestead canonically are what become Connor's new tribe. And if you ignored those quests, you missed out on literally 80% of Connor's character arc. I'm not even joking. You literally missed out on 80% of his story if you just played the main quest line in the main story. I'm not joking. I refuse to believe that this guy's favorite character was Connor. He's saying this for a virtue signal. I'm calling it right now. I remember how much shit I got for the unpopular opinion of defending Connor back in the day.
Ezio Auditore, who is Italian. So why in all those games would you have...
And where did Ezio go in Assassin's Creed Revelations? Where did Ezio, who is Italian, where was he in AC Revelations? Istanbul, and also the same setting as AC1 as well, because he goes back to Masyaf Temple. Wait, why was it okay for an Italian man who's white to go to Masyaf Temple where AC1 takes place, where it's okay because the main character is Arabic, Altair ibn Lahad? Why is it okay for him? Like, it makes no fucking sense, dude. It makes no fucking sense. It makes no fucking sense, bro. Absolutely, like, the logic... He is a fake fan. I bet this guy has not played any Assassin's Creed games. He's faking it. This is a TikTok made for views.
A character representative of the region they're from. But in this game, you want to demote a Japanese man and then use Yasuke. I understand why.
Demote a Japanese man. For those who don't know, like, the far right considers Japanese people honorary whites. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Like, for a very long time, the far right and white supremacists have considered Japanese people honorary whites, and the Japanese have had a long history of racism, like both racism against black people, racism against, well, every other race, and racism against other Asian ethnicities and countries. For example, there is a long history of vitriolic racism in Japan against the Chinese. And that mounted into an event that was a multi-month long... Well, I'm not going to get into it. You guys know. Anyway, yeah. They're basically, the Japanese are the most racist minority group that, like, racist white people could possibly stand for, and pretend like they're not racist. Because, hey, they're standing for a minority group that's not white people, right? It's like, yeah. And also... They do the whole model minority thing where it's like, they're okay because yada yada. Yeah, racists are not exactly consistent. They don't believe in anything.
Why? We know why, but they're not going to tell you why, because if you call it out, you're some kind of ist or phobe or whatever. Yep. And since I'm black and I'm calling it out, that means that I must hate my skin or something. You know how they do. I just see this and my immediate thought is
I don't think that every black person who's conservative is self-hating. I think some of them are grifters, and I think some of them are stupid. But just like any other conservative, you're stupid. Being black doesn't make any difference other than you're advocating for even more things that are against your best interests. If you're a white person advocating for conservatism, most of the chances are you're working class, right? Statistically. And so voting Republican is already... like, going against your best interests as a working class person in America, even if you're white, even if the Republicans do the whole, like, pro-white virtue signal stuff. Being black and pro-conservative is all of that, but then also cucking yourself to the racism aspect. and pretending not to care.
Did this for brownie points. I can't
Oh, 100%, by the way, every black conservative pretends not to care about the racism in the like group they're in. I do not believe that a single black conservative does not internally feel some sort of like wriggling hatred for themselves, not for their like skin color or for their race, but for what they are doing and what they are advocating for and the fucking awful human beings that they are aligning themselves with. Yeah, no, like it's just like any other conservative pundit, you're a demon.
think of any other reason why you would have a Assassin's Creed game based in Japan, which we've been clamoring for since the beginning of Assassin's Creed, and then have the main protagonist that is a male be black. I see that and I'm like, there's no other reason than I want claps for it. There's no other reason.
It's
I'm
laughable.
an Assassin's Creed fan.
Or because Yasuke existed and is a character that is cool to work with. So what they're upset at specifically is because no Japanese man, because once again, it doesn't count if you can play as a Japanese woman because woman bad. Woman is woke. When they say woke, they mean minorities.
I've played every game. I love every game. And one of
I don't believe him. These people are tourists.
my favorite characters is actually Cassandra.
This guy literally said earlier, why don't they make an Assassin's Creed in Africa? Literally like 3 games ago was Assassin's Creed Origins. But 4 now because we had Mirage recently.
From Odyssey. So nobody can sit here and say, I don't like women or I don't like diverse people or whatever, when one of my favorite characters is diverse.
Wait, okay, then why is it a problem that why aren't you okay, happy having like the Shinobi character? She's Japanese. You've got 2 characters to choose from. We literally could have gotten Assassin's Creed game where it's just her, and I guess that could have been cool. But now we get an Assassin's Creed game where we get to play as 2 people. One of those characters is a heavy character whose entire build is focused on combat, like armed combat and boots in the ground. He might not even be able to parkour. I hope not. I genuinely hope Yasuke can't climb. I'm hoping that when you play as him, you are grounded. You are in that heavy fucking armor with that big ass katana, and you aren't climbing shit. Maybe you can vault something, but like a fence or a window, but you're not climbing jack shit. You're on the ground fighting motherfuckers. But when you play as her, you're a shinobi. That's when you can climb and jump off of like out of trees and windows and rooftops onto people and assassinate them in the quietest. That is what they went for, and that's awesome. That is one of the cool things they did with Assassin's Creed Syndicate with Evie and fucking Evie and Jacob. Evie and Jacob did that to a degree, but I honestly feel like they didn't lean into it enough. Evie could still scrap too much for my liking. In fact, the DLC, the Jack the Ripper DLC, ends with Evie just beating the shit out of Jack the Ripper. Just beating him down with her fists. And I guess her claw weapon too, but like, it's a hand-to-hand fight. Her whole thing is supposed to be she's the stealthy one, Jacob's the brawler, but the end of the Jack the Ripper DLC is her beating Jack the Ripper almost to death with her bare hands. So they didn't really lean into that all that heavy, which I hope they fully lean into with this game. But why am I even arguing this right now? These people don't believe anything. They don't actually care about this. They're just lying.
First, hell, Connor Kenway and Hatham Kenway, those are some of my favorite characters from Assassin's Creed. So before the idiots want to start, that's not.
Hatham was Welsh. In America. In Assassin's Creed 3. Wait, does he think Hatham was Native American? Wait, what did he... Wait. Oh my god, is he trying to sell us on what a big Assassin's Creed fan he is? And he doesn't know that Hatham is Welsh? Hatham is Edward Kenway's son. Edward was a Welshman. Hatham was a Welshman. He states it multiple times. He has a Welsh accent. Did he think that because Connor is Native American and Connor's dad is Hatham, that means Hatham is Native American? Did he forget that Hatham is from the UK, sails over at the start of the game in that like 2-hour-long opening sequence of AC3 where you're sailing over the Atlantic, and then he fucks Connor's mom, gets her pregnant, fucks off to nowhere, and then his buddy, not Robert E. Lee, Charles Lee comes and destroys Connor's childhood family, village, and people. Like, does this guy? He says, "My favorite character is Connor. Now allow me to completely butcher the lore of his game." Trust me, guys, I'm a real Assassin's Creed fan here. These people are tourists, these woke tourists.
So nobody can sit here and say, I don't like women or I don't like diverse people or whatever, when one of my favorite characters is diverse. Hell, Connor Kenway and Hatham Kenway, those are some of my favorite characters from Assassin's
He literally, yeah, no, some of my favorite characters are diverse. Does he mean Welsh? Do you think when he says diverse, he's referring to Welsh? Because Hatham was not diverse, he was Welsh. Welsh people are from the UK. He's totally an Assassin's Creed fan, guys. I have not played an Assassin's Creed game in the last 3 game releases, and I remember this lore better than he does. But he's totally played all the games, by the way.
Creed. So before the idiots want to start, that's not the reason. The reason is I see straight through this bullshit, and I know exactly why they picked this character. It's annoying. That's like if Ghost of Tsushima, instead of using Jin, they use a white dude. People would be like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
This doesn't make any sense to me. It's stupid. I know exactly why.
If Ghost of Tsushima was a historical fiction game that featured a guy that did not exist who was white, it would definitely raise questions. Yeah. However, if there was a guy who really existed who was white, that was the main character of that game, it wouldn't be a problem because it would be featuring a real historical figure. Neo, bro? Well, Neo's different. Neo's not really like a Japanese historical game. It's like a Souls game with like that sort of like era's aesthetics. It's like Dark Souls, but instead of Eastern European like inspiration, it's or not Eastern European, like European like knight kind of shit inspiration. It's more like Japanese inspiration, or broadly just Asian inspiration broadly. I think they pull some from like some of the environments I saw looked a lot like some like mountainsides you'll see in China and stuff like that. So I think it's a little broad. Like you've got like the Dark Souls, everything from Viking to like Spanish Lancer European aesthetic. Like it's a very big mix of Gothic and Spanish and German architecture, all that shit. And then you've got like the jumble of Asian architecture and culture that you get in Neo. Yeah. Neat though. Neat stuff. But regardless, these guys are tourists. This guy forgetting that Hatham is Welsh outed how much of a tourist he really is.
You're doing it. I see straight through it. It's annoying. It's pandering. It doesn't do anything for me but piss me off.
And it's pissing off every Assassin's Creed fan out there. And the reaction has...
The people disliking this are not Assassin's Creed fans. No. Nobody is falling for the idea that Assassin's Creed fans are upset about this. This is exactly what Assassin's Creed fans have been asking for a very long time. There is a very large community of people online whose job is to ratio anything that they deem woke and pretending like that group of people are fans of every piece of media that comes out. It's like, yes, fans of The Little Mermaid. Fans of The Little Mermaid are who were upset when the live-action Little Mermaid was announced and Little Mermaid would be black. It wasn't the entire, like, horde of white, middle-aged men and teenagers on the internet that mass review bomb and mass dislike anything they hate that represents the woke because they see it as winning the culture war if they can get more dislikes than likes on it or a low tomato meter score on it, right?
It's been absolutely wild. So right here, Learning the Law says right here.
You know what's really funny? A really good way to find whether a piece of media has been review bombed is to look at like what distribution of reviews there are. Because if something's been review bombed, it'll always have been review bombed 5 stars or 1 star. No one does 2, 3, or 4-star review bombs. Those are always legit reviews. Do you want to know if you cut off the 1-star review bombs from Rings of Power, for example, what the majority of reviews are on the show? 4.5. Or 4s. Between 4 and 4.5 out of 5. Or 8.5 out of 10. When you cut away the massive, out of nowhere, the second the show came out, horde of dislikes, that come into a piece of media like Rings of Power, you immediately, and don't regard 5 stars either. I don't even take 5-star reviews seriously either, because to be fair, there could be positive review bombs too. Even on I'll say even on a show like Rings of Power, I don't trust the 5-star reviews either, because nothing's 5 stars necessarily, you know. Like that's a little, like, somebody must have been like a massive fan. A 4-star review though, that's not someone that was part of a review bomb, and that's somebody who probably has a measured opinion on something where they're willing to acknowledge flaw. And that's the kind of review I'm willing to take seriously. Breaking Bad isn't 5 stars. Okay. Well, okay. There are things that are 5 stars, but that's so few and far between that you shouldn't expect something to be 5 stars. You know what I mean? Like, that's not to be expected. That's literally the gold standard. Like, that's a masterpiece. I've never seen something this good before. I need to show this to everybody. We're talking like Breaking Bad. We're talking From. We're talking Lord of the Rings. We're talking The Matrix. We're talking like the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. Like, content that's just like, yeah, this is, you can't like not watch this. This is cultural classic.
He puts this up, but then he
Back to
says,
the future.
literally medieval Japan. Barely a few Portuguese folks, maybe some Chinese and Dutch. A black man in the middle of Japan City, surely nobody will notice. What the actual fuck were they thinking? These people are bending history as we speak.
Oh my god, they didn't even watch the trailer. They're such tourists. They didn't even watch the trailer. Yasuke is not supposed to be stealthy. He's the fighter character, the shinobi character, who is Japanese, by the way, because this game does have a Japanese protagonist, much to these people's denial of existing. I think it's interesting to me how much we've gotten to the point with these people that they're just outright lying. Like, they've always been liars, to be fair. I'm not saying they were honest before, but before, at the very least, if they were complaining about something, it was at least something that was real, right? Like, remember back when they were complaining that, like, the 14-year-old She-Ra, well, he was one of these people, the 14-year-old She-Ra in the She-Ra show wasn't, like, dressed scantily clad enough and wasn't curvy enough for them to jack off to? Remember that? The whole, like, this 14-year-old isn't fappable enough for us arc with the She-Ra show? They went on about this for, like, 2 years. The quartering, this guy. They were all pedo posting, like, proudly for a while. It was crazy. Like, being practically, like, open, like weird about underage women was a big part of online right-wing culture war stuff for a while. A good example is Matt Walsh and Nick Fuentes saying that the age of consent is a feminist left-wing construct. And Sargon of Akkad and the whole anti-SJW community coddling, accepting, and protecting the absolute fuck out of Amos Yee back in the day. Which, by the way, I recently mentioned that. I mentioned how much Sargon and the anti-SJW community like accepted and protected Amos Yee. And do you want to know what a Sargon fan in the comments of that video said? I could not believe my eyes. They straight up said, nah, Amos Yee is one of you woke people. I'm not even joking. Their response to when you point out, hey, remember back when Sargon, your side was like defending the fuck out of and touting and giving a platform to that one guy everyone now knows is a pedophile? Like, remember that? Their response is, no, that guy's actually a woke lefty. Never was with on our side. Nope, that never happened. Nope. They've gotten to the point now where they've realized if they're going to be as dishonest as they've been, why not just outright lie about everything? Why not just outright lie about Aphrodite getting redesigned in the new Hades game? Why not just outright lie about there not being a Japanese main character in the new Assassin's Creed? Why not just outright lie about being a fan of Assassin's Creed and then fuck up the lore by forgetting that Haytham is not native to America? He is not of a Native American. He was Welsh because he was the son of fucking Edward Kenway, the Welsh man who is the main character of the next Assassin's Creed game that came out, which the guy said he played, but guys, trust me, he's totally a massive fan, and he's one of the fans who are genuinely upset. No. This is all for money, clicks, culture war shit. Assassin's Creed fans have asked for this for a very long time. We are finally getting what we wanted, an Eastern setting for an Assassin's Creed game. Let's fucking go. Ninjas and samurais. One character's a ninja, one's a samurai. That's what we've always wanted. Let's fucking go. This is what the fan base has always wanted. The idea that the fans are upset about this is absolutely hilarious.
That is
Nice
1,000% what they are doing, and they've been doing that, and they've been doing that to your favorite franchise, and eventually it's going to continue to come for your favorite franchise, your second favorite franchise, your third favorite. They're coming.
Can we just, like, look at this guy's face for a minute? My chat's kind of covering him up, so I feel like we can't really marvel at, like, how much of an ugly guy this dude is. I've never really thought about it much. But this guy, I mean, he has a neck beard for one. Hilarious. The fact that like he's got the most shadow around his neck and everything and under his chin just adds to the neck beard vibe. He is surrounded by little like action figures and complaining about minorities in media. And he never takes off that hat. He is definitely bald under there. He is definitely balding or completely bald. I have never seen him without that hat. He never takes it off. He never isn't wearing a hat. It's just like Tim Pool with the beanie. He never takes it off. Why are all these men balding? Does racism make you bald?
For it all. So continue to call this shit out, continue to hold them accountable, but guess what? It gets better. This certainly explains everything.
Continue to hold them accountable, Jesus.
You need to know about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Look at there, ladies and gentlemen, lead writer for Assassin's Creed Shadows. There it is, right there is in.
Wow, I really don't feel bad about body shaming this guy now. Guys, a woman. A woman is writing for Assassin's Creed Shadows. A woman is the lead writer. I love how they think that's an epic own. Like, do they forget that you have to literally hate minorities to consider that an own?
Anyone surprised? Not one single person should be surprised by this. Holy shit. Pronouns in bio. Of course.
Everybody has pronouns. They came with your existing under the English language.
Of course, pronouns in bio. Oh my goodness, what a disaster. Grum says, so apparently Ubisoft...
I hate to inform you, but everybody has pronouns. Oh, by the way, funny thing about Grums, who keeps getting things wrong about the games he swears he's a fan of, by the way. I did a whole video breaking down his history, but I think it's important to always bring up like who Grums is and his deal. Grums has been blacklisted from the gaming industry. His whole like claim to fame and notoriety and like having any level of like trustworthiness as a figure is that he used to work at Blizzard and he was like a lead guy or one of the big guys on like original WoW and Diablo and stuff. He has since been blacklisted from the gaming industry. Nobody he's ever worked with in the past will ever work with him again. And they've all had horror stories from toxicity, harassment, poor treatment, his constant breakdowns, and the fact that going back to classic WoW, he was one of the fucking tumors within the company pushing for real money transactional mounts and stuff in the game. He was one of the people all the way back in Classic at the board meetings saying, we need to put a store in World of Warcraft where people can spend their real money on mounts and cosmetics and stuff. Wouldn't that be cool? What if we added the WoW? He was one of those guys, and whenever people didn't agree with him, he'd get toxic about it. He has had countless ex-Blizzard devs out him as an abusive piece of shit. He's blacklisted from the gaming industry. He can't get rehired anywhere. It's why his job is now to post on Twitter. And on top of that, he tried to get into indie game development. And do you guys want to... The current game he's working on... Okay, the last game he worked on was called M8er. I think it's like M/-8er. He did a GoFundMe for it, pocketed the money, never made it. Game, it's broken, never came out, never fixed it. It's a dead project, pocketed the money. And now he's working on another project, Grum's Scam Game. This is the current project that he's no doubt trying to, like all this publicity he's getting with the anti-woke stuff is to get enough attention that he can leverage that as an advertisement for, where is it? Grum Scam, where is it? Blah, 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 blah. Where's the store on that game that he has? Don't tell me he's taken it down. Nah, you gotta be shitting me, Google. You're not doing this to me now. Here it is. Found it. My favorite thing about Mark Kern is that his third failed game, M8er, has an option to buy a Founders Pack for up to... This game is still not available for people to play, by the way, after years, even if you bought this. M8er has an option to buy a Founders Pack for up to $1,500. His little army that wants him to be the savior of games would milk... he would milk them... He would milk his army... His little army of people that want him to be the savior of games for all the money they've got. Yeah, and so you can buy either the Archon pack, which is $200 or $300. That's the cheapest pack, or the Arch Liege Founders pack, which gives you which costs $1,500. This is real money, by the way. For $1,500, you get the new Herald. When you enter a zone, everyone will receive a voice announcement with your title and RP name. Arch Liege RP name is on the field. Wow. Pay $1,500 and everybody gets an announcement that you've entered the area. I'm sure that's something no one's going to, yeah. Max variant in purple, orange, and chroma. 5x playable mock-up, 5x copies of the game. Oh, I guess you get 5 copies of the game with this. Reserve a guild name. Because the game's not out and still isn't, even if you paid. You get to reserve a guild name. Custom insignia for use across your dropship G-suit and banners. Custom colored founder and max dropship. You pick colors, chroma pattern. Custom colored founder G-suit V2. You pick colors. Custom omni-frame battle banner. Create a custom NPC for game. Name and background dial. That's actually that might be worth it. If it was actually a game that was going to exist and be good, and this wasn't a scammer. If you were paying for a Founders Pack where you got to name an NPC and, like, come up with their background and their dialogue and stuff and even voice them, that would make sense. That would make sense if you could, yeah. And all prior rewards to this campaign, so I guess you get this stuff too. So yeah, the game's still not available. He's been supposedly working on this for a long time, but he's also been blacklisted from the gaming industry after being outed as an abuser from everyone he's worked with in the past, including all the people at Blizzard. But he still tries to use all that clout as, like, his sort of credibility. He is possibly the biggest grifter currently, like, in this space. He is also a balding, middle-aged man whose entire explosion in popularity is over crying about censoring a camel toe in a game that doesn't exist. You guys know that, right? Another example of how the shit these guys complain about isn't even real. The whole, like, Stellar Blade camel toe thing, like hashtag free Stellar Blade, completely made up. The original screenshot that Grums used to say this was the original skin before the recent Stellar Blade update, Sony censored her, where it's like she's got camel toe and the like second image she doesn't. It was photoshopped. The skin never had camel toe. Believe it or not, the game developers were not so gooner that they like textured full camel toe lines in the outfit. They weren't quite that gooner, surprisingly. But they claimed that it had been patched out, but in reality, the original image was photoshopped. Not too different, but arguably far less accurate than the flipping of which game the Aphrodite design they've been calling manly comes from, because it's not convenient if that design is from Hades 1, because that game came out and is beloved and there's no culture war to fight and win on hating that game. So instead, they want to push the idea that Hades 2 has made this controversial change, and, well, you would only know that you would only fall for this if you'd never played Hades. So that's a pretty good, clear sign that the people complaining about this stuff, they're tourists. They've never played the original game. They're pretending to be fans.
Apparently changed Assassin's Creed Shadows, throwing away the original story. And he has a complete breakdown right here.
This is completely made up, by the way.
So if you want to go over to his Twitter account and check that out, you can. Japanese reception to Ubisoft's latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows. One Japanese user says, for the first time, I understood what cultural appropriation was. The reaction has been wild. And of course, you can go over there to the trailer and you can see exactly what.
Okay, Yasuke is really popular in Japan, for one. And on top of that, people being mad in the comments does not mean that racism is okay. Believe it or not. Like, there being racists who are mad and racist in a comment section en masse is not an argument for racism.
What's going on? Let's refresh one more time. Now 170,000 downvotes to 170,000 downvotes to 178,000 upvotes. This will get ratioed, and the backlash is going to continue because fans are sick and tired of this shit. This is going to be a shit show, and I'm here for it. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video.
What's really funny to me is, does he not acknowledge the fact that currently it sits at more likes than dislikes? The majority of people have liked the trailer. The ratio is currently positive. 178,000 people liked the trailer. Not to mention the majority of game purchases aren't even on a trailer. And on top of that, the trailer has 3.2 million views, and only 170,000 of those people hit dislike. If someone hates this, they're hitting dislike. If they love it, they're hitting like. You can tell by anybody's analytics how that works. This video has 45,000 views. It has 4.7 thousand likes. Who knows how many dislikes? Does that mean only 4.7 thousand people enjoyed this video out of the 45,000 that watched it? No. Naturally, because of how YouTube works, people have a bias. If they really hate something, they hit dislike, or they negatively review something. If they really like it, they positively review it, or upvote it, or give it a like. The vast majority of people, though, sit in the middle of that bell curve of, yeah, that was pretty good, I guess I'll pick this up, or maybe I won't, and they don't engage with it at all. But the people mad about this are the ones disliking. And the fact that the people who love it so much they hit like, which you see how much of the ratio, you know, out of 3.2 million, yeah, about right, you know. The ratio is about in line for, of the people who watched this video, the majority of them liked it. And hell, the majority of people hit like, but that doesn't matter to him. What matters to him is the hypothetical that, oh, it's totally going to get ratioed, guys, and once it does, that'll prove us right. Because to them, the end and beginning of the world is ratios, because nothing, like, there are no stakes to this, to their side of the culture war at all.
Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.
Hey, at least he didn't do a whole, like, 20-minute shill session with a sponsorship, you know? I was expecting that, but we didn't get it, and that actually makes me proud and surprised. Well, hey, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. It really does help a lot, and I do like seeing my content do better than people like this. And of course, if you want to engage with my content, it also pushes it in the algorithm too. You can comment down below. It really helps a lot. You can subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications. And of course, if you want to see more from me, go ahead and look down in the description down below to follow my social medias. And of course, if you want to, you can also join my fan Discord. It's totally free. It is the main hub of my fan base. I do game events, watch parties, and call-in streams there, and I announce my uploads and my streams there as well, so you won't miss anything. And do not forget, if you want to support me financially, and please consider it, you can always donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch through the Streamlabs link down below. But with that said, I hope to see you on the Discord. I hope to see you again, and thank you for watching.